Speaker view.
I want to be in speaker view. All right, perfect. All right, so I just wanted to welcome you today to our sleep seminar. And the reason, people are still jumping on, so thanks if you just joined us. The reason that I wanted to do a sleep seminar is because I personally have been struggling in the pandemic to get enough sleep. And I find that so many people that I talk to feel the same way. And so what I did was it's a real life problem that we're facing. So I reached out to my good friend Jeanine, who is a sleep expert, and started asking her some questions. And I thought, you know what, this is just information I think a lot of people would be interested in learning and sharing, and see if we can help troubleshoot some of the things they have going on. So what we're going to do is I was going to do like an interview process with Jeanine and really have her teach us some of the things that she has learned in her dealings with sleep and in her studies about sleep. And then what we're going to do is then we're going to open it up to a question and answer, and actually have the opportunity to ask Jeanine some questions and even maybe troubleshoot some of the specific things that you have going on with your sleep, see if we can work to get you back on track. But one of the things that we do is both Jeanine and I partner with the Juice Plus company. And so it's a company that's been around for 40 years with a product that's been around for 25 years, focused on nutrition. And one of the things that I've learned from the education that I got from this company is really there's 4 cores to a healthy lifestyle. These are nutrition, hydration, exercise, and sleep. And the first thing, I was relieved to find out that there weren't 16 things that I have to do. There's just 4. And so what we're doing today is really taking a deep dive into the sleep topic. So you might want to get pen and paper out and do that. And I brought, some people are like, I don't even know what Juice Plus is. So I just brought, it's literally, Juice Plus comes in fruits. There's a fruit, vegetable, berry, and omega blend. Jeanine's helping me. We're like, Vanna, tag teaming Vanna. And it literally is, people are like, well, what is it? It's fruits and vegetables in a capsule. It's literally what did you say, Jeanine? The
Powdered produce.
It's, what did you say? What do you call it?
Powdered produce.
Yes, powdered produce encapsulated. And there's a bunch of science behind it, a bunch of studies that do it. And I find that a lot of us are science-based, which is what you're going to get a lot of today when we're talking about sleep, is science-based research, really understanding the shortcut of all the things that other people have learned about sleep so that you can incorporate it in your life. Okay, so let me tell you about Jeanine. First of all, I love listening to Jeanine speak. Anytime she does a speaking event, I am always on, because I just think that she's so fun to listen to. She's a registered nurse, so she's been a nurse for 35 years. So she comes with, no kidding, credentials. And each year, nurses have to refresh their skill set. And what she did was focus a lot of those credits on learning about holistic lifestyle. Got so far into it that she actually became a certified holistic stress and management instructor. So she has had the opportunity to do instruction on this topic for many, many years. So Jeanine, I'm so excited to have you here today, and just wanted to turn it over to you, let you say a little bit more about yourself and your background and your credentials, and then I'm going to move into the first question.
All right, thank you. Thanks for the introduction. So I just wanted to let everyone know today that I'm going to be educating you on the topics of how to improve your sleep every single night starting tonight. You can do this, you have complete control over it. And then also touch on various ways to manage your stress, because they definitely overlap together. So that's what our focus is going to be. And we're going to do a Q&A session. And then at the end, you'll have opportunity to ask your own questions.
Thanks. Perfect. Okay, so Jeanine, the first thing I want to ask you is, so why sleep? Why talk about sleep?
Well, good question, Anne-Marie. And first of all, it seems like a lot of people are having difficulty sleeping right now, especially during what's going on. But in general, over 60% of Americans are chronically sleep deprived and have issues with sleep. And believe it or not, we sleep 1/3 of our lives, which is crazy. So if I live to be 75, that means that 26 years of my life is sleeping, 26 years. Hopefully I can live to be 100. So that's 33 years. That's the age of one of my daughters. That's an incredible amount of sleep when you think about it. So if you do the math and think about that, you really want to make sure you are getting good quality sleep, because there are a lot of physiological processes that occur when you sleep. And if you're not getting adequate sleep, it's not happening. So we really have to focus on that.
That's great. Thank you so much. Okay, so my second question is, the thing that always comes up is number of hours of sleep. I feel like so many people start the conversation that way. So is there an ideal number of hours of sleep that we should be getting each night?
Absolutely. Well, ideally, believe it or not, 8 hours is ideal, but you don't want to get less than 7 at a minimum. And there are studies out there that say that if you get less than 6 hours of sleep per night, your incidence of disease triples. And I'm talking good quality sleep with good REM sleep, so that you're having those dream cycles, because that's when all your body is restoring itself and fixing itself. And if you don't get good sleep, I think we all know what that feels like. You're extremely irritable. You can have high anxiety. You have slower reaction time, so it could be a safety issue. It could be dangerous for driving. Your poor productivity at work and at home, and then poor communication skills, even poor parenting skills. You're a little less patient with the little ones. So it's just very, very important to make sure you're getting a good night's rest, so that your behaviors can mimic how good you feel.
Yes, that is so true. You know what? One of the things that cued me actually to reach out to you was because my 3-year-old dropped my new air fryer on the floor and broke a piece out of it, and I lost it. I literally I flipped my lid, and in that moment, I yelled and I saw his reaction, and I went and sat on the couch, and my 14-year-old kind of came over and comforted me, and I was like, I am not getting enough sleep. Like, it just because
Yep.
I am not historically am not one of those people that just flips, and I just kind of had to stop and say, like, okay, what is that about? So are there other risk factors that are associated with lack of sleep, these like kind of chronic conditions that people start saying as they
Yeah.
age?
Yeah, absolutely. There are multiple risk factors. So insomnia is linked to many diseases, including coronary artery disease, which is the #1 killer of both men and women in the United States today. So it's not just dietary. When you have a lack of sleep, it definitely impacts your cardiovascular system, which is your whole body, right? Everything is cardiovascular. And it is also linked to increased risk of cancer. And as you know, one in 2 men today will get cancer, and 1 in 3 women. So the prevalence of cancer is super, super high, which is pretty scary. So, we're all trying to do lifestyle factors to reduce that. And then the other important thing is obesity. It's linked to lack of sleep as well. People say, I can't lose weight. No matter what I do, I'm exercising, I'm eating right, and I'm still having a hard time. Well, when you don't sleep well and you have a lot of stress in your life, it increases your cortisol, which is, your hormone that you have, that's your a bad hormone that you want to make sure you can get it as low as possible, so that you can have effective weight management and lose weight if you have any extra pounds to lose. So it's really important to get that adequate sleep every night for all of these reasons.
Nice. That does help explain. I think one of the things that you kind of started touching on too is the sleep correlation between sleep and problem solving. And so one of the things that I had encountered in my preparation for this call to you and reading the book was this problem solving through dreams concept.
Mhm.
And I found a couple of examples that just really were really interesting to me. So Thomas Edison, we all know all of his inventions, including the light bulb. He was kind of known for being chronically not a nighttime sleeper. So he slept a little bit at night, but during the day he was a napper. So he caught up during the day on his sleep. But one of the things that he used in problem solving was he used his dreams to get out of being stuck on a problem. So he would set up his napping place in a way, sit back in a chair, and he would hold almost like some giant marbles in his hand, and then make something that they could loudly crash on. And so when he would doze off and start to dream, it would make this crashing sound and wake up from REM, which is not what we recommend, Jeanine, right? We don't want you to wake up from
Nope.
REM. We want you to
Nope.
finish your
Not
dream
that.
state. But he used this as a tactic for he understood that tapping into the problem solving skills that are happening in dreams. And then what he would do is he would wake up and he would scribble down like everything that came to his mind in that. And he feels like that was one of the things that really propelled him to the next level of problem solving. We're also seeing this with the science of high schoolers. So maybe you've heard about how some high schools who have really dug into the studies about kids who are just not able to go to sleep. We'll talk about kids again in a second. That their best REM is between 5 and 7 a.m. So they've moved the school start time back because they just cannot fall asleep at night. Their circadian rhythm is preventing them from doing that. So they moved back they've moved back the start time so that they'd be able to capitalize on that 5 to 7 a.m. sleep time, because they find the science says that they are better problem solvers in high school, in math classes and science classes, when they've gotten a good night's sleep. When they move the start time of school back, they're able to do that. And so I just found that was so interesting. And I was curious about, Jeanine, any takeaways that you've had from dreams in your investigation? Have you learned anything about how they help?
Dreams in general? Well, first of all, I love to dream, and I had actually stopped dreaming several years ago. And speaking of our Juice Plus products, the Omega blend, the vegan blend, which has 5 different 3, 5, 6, 7, and 9. After I started taking that, and I take it at night, I started having vivid dreams again and multiple dreams. So I started a dream journal, because I was like, oh, how exciting. I'm remembering my dreams again. So, it's brain food. Omegas are brain food. So I know they're working really well. And I always tell all of my clients, take them at night, because you're going to have some awesome dreams. And the majority of people like that. Some of them go, I don't know if that's a good thing for me, but I really enjoy dreaming. And I thought there was another study, at least someone posted on our Facebook group, about if kids stay up too late, they're going to automatically wake up early. So I'm wondering, who has more information on that topic? Because I had not heard that, but it seems like a lot of parents are agreeing with that comment, that they just automatically wake up early if they go to bed too late. So not sure if that was in any of the research that you saw, that you read.
Yeah, that it's basically that if you, so kids who don't, one of the things is kids who are not getting enough sleep. So that the one that caught my attention, because I have a 3-year-old, that is not getting 12 hours of sleep a night. You have to deal with all the mood during the day, but they also, as an adult, they have a 40% increased chance of obesity in that. So, there's the problem solving piece of it. That's everything that's going on with your metabolism that has to do with sleep. And I did want to talk more about kids. I love this topic of kids and sleep. So can you talk a little bit about how important sleep is for kids?
You bet. Absolutely. And I'm going to go back to the purpose of sleep after this, because sleep is critical for kids, because growth hormone is secreted while they're sleeping, and only while they're sleeping. So your kids, depending on how tall they grow, could be dependent on the lack of sleep that they get, because it's only secreted during sleep. So this is why adequate sleep for children is absolutely critical. So if they're not getting that that number of hours of sleep, then you might have to look at, what those sleep habits are, and getting them down a little sooner, just to make sure that they're not being robbed of that ever important growth hormone.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's so important. I love that. And so let's talk about, which I know this is really your area of expertise, is the correlation between sleep and stress management.
Yeah. And, before we jump there, I'd like to talk about the purpose of sleep, because I wanted to jump into that before I go into my top 10 tips. So I wanted to mention that, everyone goes, well, sleep is sleep. What's the big deal? Well, there is a purpose for our bodies sleeping and resting and getting good sleep every single night. And physiologically, it's the restoration of every single metabolic activity in every single cell of our body. And how many cells do we have? Like trillions and trillions of cells. It's a lot of work that's going on. So while we're sleeping, our cells are in the process of repairing any damage that has occurred during the day, and it puts our bodies back in a state of homeostasis or balance. And without that, you don't get that balance. It's in constant stress. In other words, we're resetting our bodies every single night. And just to point out that our brains do not turn off when we fall asleep. Our bodies are resting, but our brains are still working, and a whole different set of cells. They're called glial cells. They're busy at work cleansing the brain, and they're removing toxic amyloid proteins that have built up in our brains and in our bodies. And these have been discovered to cause problems with dementia and Alzheimer's diseases when you have a buildup of these toxic proteins. And if you have excessive amounts accumulated over time in your brain, that's when it leads to dementia and Alzheimer's. So it's very, very important to get rid of these. And basically, every single night, it's like your brain is taking out the trash and just removing all these toxins. So that's really, really important to get that done for optimal cognitive brain function. In addition, our brain cells that fire repeatedly without rest create free radicals, which also destroys the cell membranes, which can lead to numerous diseases and also accelerates the aging process. So who wants to do that, right? Sleep maintains the integrity of our telomeres, which are the ends of the strands of the DNA. And that's involved with cell duplication, which again can expedite the aging process and shorten our lifespan. So we don't want that. So I love this because this gives the whole new meaning to beauty rest, right? It's a true statement. You do need your beauty rest to stay healthy. And I also wanted to point out, we touched on Juice Plus earlier, but there is one, there's over 40 gold standard double-blind placebo-controlled studies showing the health benefits. And this DNA study is only one of those studies, that helps repair your DNA. So if you want something that's anti-aging, and a lot of people do sleep better when they're taking it, it's clinically proven. So it's pretty amazing. So that's why it's really important to make sure you take that every day.
Jeanine, while you said that, it reminded me of the conversation we were having earlier. So Alzheimer's and dementia and not getting enough sleep. So you've heard some people that brag about, so Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher were really known for I only need 4 hours of sleep a night. And that's how they were able to be so productive and, lead these, massive countries and undertakings. So both suffered from dementia, right? I mean, it ended in Alzheimer's, this story of staying up. And we have the current president, Trump, who's also talking about that too, how he's like, I only need 4 hours a night of sleep. And so sometimes people kind of think oh, that's how these productive people get all this stuff done. But it ends in dementia and Alzheimer's. Mm-hmm. And so there really is not a trade. There's no way to trade your sleep out, which I feel like is one of the biggest takeaways from the seminar, is that it's really just key and something that you have to do.
Yeah.
To keep things on track. I do love this conversation of the go sleep on it, helping your brain solve problems, that there is not an expression that says I'm going to go stay awake on this problem, right? That's not the expression. The expression is I'm going to go sleep on this problem. And countries, every single country, every language has a translation of that. I'm going to go sleep on this problem. So it's something that is all over the place, and a key point. So I appreciate the sharing of the correlation between the sleep and stress. And really, I think the next focus too is the top 10. I love the top 10 items that you give on sleep.
Yes.
That is has been the game changer for so many.
Yep.
So if you're ready to go on that, people get out their pens and papers.
You betcha. And the correlation between stress and sleep is a scientific fact. Stress is the number one factor that affects your sleep. So managing your stress may be the underlying cause. So you really want to look at that. And my top 10 tips will cover those as well. Stress can't be avoided, guys. So it's just how you handle it and how you deal with it. So every single day you do need to manage it somehow. So here are my top 10 tips that I like to provide for people for helping improve their sleep hygiene. The first one is exercise definitely helps you sleep better at night. Those of you who do exercise every day, I think you know that your body is so tired by the time you hit the pillow, if you've done some good exercise during the day, that you typically aren't going to have any issues getting to sleep. But it's really important because it does have to repair all that micro damage that has occurred from the day with the activity. The other thing about exercise is it literally flushes out your stress hormones. It actually contractions, the muscle contraction with exercise cleanses out your lymph nodes and flushes out your stress hormones. So you're getting like a double whammy there on the health benefits of exercise. A lot of people exercise for stress management as well. The second tip I like to share is you need to learn to meditate or practice deep breathing. And I think that deep breathing is the easiest and most important stress management technique that you can do. Meditation is so incredibly good for you. It literally clears your head of racing thoughts before bed, which is another big contributor to not sleeping. If you're worried about something, you're going to toss and turn most of the night. There are many types of meditation. It can be as simple as sitting or lying quietly, closing your eyes and just focusing on your breathing. And then when thoughts come in, you just let them go, or metaphorically wipe them away and release them, and then refocus on your breathing. And you can start with just 5 minutes a day initially, and then work your way up to 20 minutes a couple times a day. Studies have shown that people who meditate do better, do sleep better, and are definitely more grounded and present during their waking hours. And deep breathing, by the way, is deep diaphragmatic breathing. It's breathing from your diaphragm, from your lower abdomen. And most of us breathe very shallow throughout the day. We're not really filling up our lungs fully. So every hour, think about taking a few deep breaths just to get that oxygen. It's great for your brain as well. And that's a super simple relaxation technique to do that. Do it 10 or 20 times, whatever time you have time for. You're getting ready for a meeting, you're stressed out, take some deep breaths before you go in. It'll lower your blood pressure, it'll lower your pulse. You'll just feel better. So the key to the diaphragm breathing is your stomach goes in and out while you're breathing. So you let that go out. It's kind of abnormal. You want to keep your stomach in general, but when you're doing diaphragmatic breathing, it's going to go in and out, and that's how you know you're doing it correctly. So other ways to reduce your stress, you can do yoga. Yoga is so good for you. It does so many more things than you are aware of, and people think, oh, that's pretty simple. It's cleaning your lymphs as well, and it focuses on deep breathing. Tai Chi is wonderful, guided mental imagery, even music and laughter therapy, and progressive muscular relaxation. Those are all great relaxation techniques to help calm your body. Just choose the one you love and start practicing. There's simple apps on your phone like Calm that you can also download. There's a lot of meditation apps that'll walk you through it. But that's what I'd highly, highly recommend. Number 3 is keeping a regular sleep cycle. You've probably heard this, but it's really important to go to bed at the same time every single night within about a 15-minute time frame, and then wake up at the same time, even on the weekends. A lot of people, including me, it's like I like to sleep in on Saturday. It's my first day off. So, but it's really a good idea to stay on that same sleep cycle so it doesn't mess it up. And then try to eat dinner at the same time every day. Because your body generates a lot of energy to digest your food. So if you eat a big meal too close to before going to bed, your body's going to focus on digesting that food, and you're going to lose at least 3 to 4 hours of good, solid, deep REM sleep and restoration of your body. So eat dinner nice and early, get to bed 3 to 4 hours later, and that way you can focus on just your sleep cycle and getting that deep REM sleep and recovering your body. One thing I do like to mention, though, is a lot of people say they get hungry at night if they don't have something. Anne-Marie showed our powdered produce, but we do have complete shakes that are easily digestible. You can literally drink one an hour before bed, and it'll digest and it'll fill your tummy so that you don't wake up hungry. That way you can get a good night's rest as well. So it's all plant-based too, at least 15 or so plants in each shake. Super good for you, highly nutritious. So that's one thing I recommend. A lot of pregnant women will drink that before they go to bed because they certainly get hungry feeding that little baby. Number 4 is creating a wonderful sleep ambiance in your room. And, you want to make your room your sanctuary for sleep, right? Picture your room like out of a magazine, right? You want it to just be, it's going to call you to bed. and you want to just climb right into it. You know, I love my bed, and you know, when you clean your sheets and you make your bed and it's all fresh, there's nothing like it. You just hop in it and go, oh, this feels amazing, and you just want to have a good night's rest. But just make it as cozy and sleep friendly as you can. A good mattress is definitely really, really important. But in addition to that, invest in good quality bedding and maybe some high thread count sheets. These days, they're pretty economical. You can get them just about anywhere. And, you know, maybe a nice mattress pad, and a lightweight down comforter to control your body temperature. You don't want to get too hot. You don't want to be too cold. And you do want to keep your room temperature under 65 degrees, which is the actual ideal temperature for sleeping. You don't want to be warm. Some people like to open their windows to get some fresh air. So that will usually help quite a bit. And then number 5, this is important that a lot of people don't think about, is minimize any bright lights. Better yet, eliminate all lights. Melatonin is a hormone that is secreted. It helps you sleep, and it's produced out of your pineal gland, which is located in your brain, in the center of your brain, but it doesn't produce melatonin if there's any light in your room. So, you know, once the sun goes down, great, but don't have any artificial light. Don't have your computer open. Don't have any bright lights. Even night lights aren't good. You know, there are motion sensor night lights that are good for your kids that you can use, or even for you if you want to, you know, if you get up in the middle of the night. But if you can't get it completely dark, cover your windows, ensure that it's dark so you can sleep. If you work night shift, you know, and you have to sleep during the day, you need dark out shades, because you won't be secreting melatonin. You'll be chronically tired. So, all right. So, and then in addition to, you know, reducing those bright lights, you need to create a tech-free room. Now, this is a tough one. It's tough for me too, you guys. So ideally, technology should really stay out of the bedroom. You know, plug them in, charge them somewhere else, in your office, in your kitchen, whatever. The bright lights from your phones, your TVs, computers, and iPads, that goes right through your eye. Your eyes are very pliable. It goes right in and it stimulates your brain with the light that comes from you. And when it stimulates your brain, you basically want to stay up, right? It's telling you that, oh, it's daytime. I want to be awake. So it's going to be hard falling asleep if you have that stimulation within an hour before you go to bed. So turn everything off at least that hour, and you know, to avoid tossing and turning before you fall asleep. And if you still have issues with that, a lot of experts out there recommend unplugging and turning off your Wi-Fi router before you go to bed. You don't need your Wi-Fi on during the night, and it actually helps a lot of people when they turn it off. You don't need that Wi-Fi going on in your home when you're trying to rest. So if you have difficulty, consider doing that as well. Recent research has also shown that the Wi-Fi routers negatively affect the secretion of melatonin also. So, and then also don't have your alarm clocks more than 5 feet away from your head. Have it at least 5 feet away from your head. So there's no hitting that snooze button. I don't even use an alarm clock anymore. I go to bed and my body knows exactly how long to sleep, and I wake up when it's time for me to wake up, and I usually get about 8 hours every single night. So I'd recommend, if you watch TV late at night before you go to bed, maybe try reading a book, you know, the old fashioned way, reading a book. That always helps me fall asleep. So instead of having the TV on. And then the last few, reduce the noise. Sometimes it's hard to control the noise outside. Could be dogs barking, ambulance sirens, you know. What you can do is introduce white noise in your home to block out the noise outside. A lot of mommies with babies have gotten used to doing this. You know, the waterfalls, the ocean waves, all of those. You can get little machines, or you can even have these on your phones, to play this nice white noise to block out any sudden noises that you might hear outside. And then last couple, avoiding alcohol, nicotine, and caffeine before bed is actually really, really good. Nicotine and caffeine are stimulants, so it's going to prevent you from falling asleep. And nicotine stays in your body for at least 8 hours. So if you can give up coffee, which we highly recommend because it's very acidic and hard on your gut, but if you can't, just don't drink coffee after noon. because it's going to be in your system till 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And if you have difficulty sleeping, that could be the problem. And then alcohol, it might help you fall asleep, but it does reduce the quality of your REM sleep and your deep sleep. So that's what the studies are saying there. And I mentioned taking the omegas at night to help me fall asleep and have those incredible dreams. And then one other thing that really helps so you don't wake up thinking about stuff is make your to-do list before you go to bed. It's going to cleanse your mind of racing thoughts, and you're not going to worry about what has to be done tomorrow. You're going to place the responsibilities on a piece of paper so you don't have to worry about remembering them or obsessing about them. How many of us have woken up in the middle of the night saying, oh, I forgot this, or I forgot that, or I was trying to think about something. Put it on paper. It'll erase it from your mind, and you'll have a much more comfortable sleep. And then finally, and last but not least, remember that your bed's for sleeping, right? It's your sanctuary. It's your comfort zone to sleep. It's not for, balancing your checkbook, grading papers, reading your email, or cleaning out your purse, It's for sleep. Get all that other stuff done outside of your bed so that your body knows once you hit that bed, it is time for bed. So hopefully you can establish some of these healthy habits for yourselves, and even be a role model for your kids to help them do the same, because these boundaries will definitely support you in having a much better night's rest, which contributes to long-term health.
Wait, Jeanine, I love those. I was, scribbling madly. And I just think that some of those tips are so important, and it helps me reflect on what I'm doing too. And, one of the things that at the end of this call, I'm going to go around with a call to action and ask people for what is their commitment based on that 10, some changes that they want to make in their lifestyle. And I definitely think one of the things that you had taught me, so this is a great reminder, was to put yourself to bed in the same way that you would put a child to bed. And so that means like you go wash your face, you go potty, you turn off your electronics are in the kitchen. As a toddler, so I have a potty trained 3-year-old, but at 8 o'clock, you're like, okay, that's your last drink. There's no more water, because one of the things that people wake up and do in the middle of the night, which impacts your REM, is you get up and go to the restroom,
right.
which is most people's bladder, no matter what age you are, can make it through the night. It's that you're loading it up before you go to bed, which means that you have to be conscious during the day at noon, noon and 1 and 2 and 3, making sure that you're hydrated. So at night you don't think, I'm so dehydrated, I'm going to catch up on all my water at 9 o'clock at night, because that will absolutely interrupt your sleep. And I love this, read it, like you're going to put yourself, read a book, get yourself all cozy in your bed and prepare yourself for the plan to sleep. So I'm going to jump into Q&A, and I'm going to start with my first question is like, okay, so let's say you do a good job of getting to bed. Like, what do you do when you wake up? Let's say you wake up at 2 a.m. or 4 a.m. Like, what advice do you have?
Yeah. So if you wake up because you've forgotten something, or you thought, oh, I have to do this tomorrow, that's where you lean over, grab that pad and say, okay, I got to get this done tomorrow. Put it on the paper, give the responsibility there so you don't have to remember it anymore. So that's number one. If you wake up and you're not sure why you woke up, if it's not to go to the bathroom or whatever, and you're not sure, just start taking those nice, slow, deep breaths. Just really, really deep, do at least 10 or 20, and just relax your body as much as possible. My hubby is so good at falling asleep, and he literally, as soon as he hits the pillow, his breathing shifts. He starts breathing really deep and really slow, and within like a minute, he's asleep. It's like, how do you do that? But it's his breathing. He just breathes very, very slow. So that's what I'd recommend you do if you're not sure why you woke up and haven't resolved it another way.
Nice. That's a great answer. Thank you. So Becca, do you want to ask your question? I can take it off mute if you want to ask your question, or I can read it for you. What works best for you?
Hey, I can show my face, I suppose. So my questions tend to pertain to children, and that actually helped me, that last answer, because there's times that I wake up in the middle of the night. But with my oldest, he is 9, and I think some of it is that he's waking up to use the bathroom, and we've tried everything as far as restricting the drinks and all of that. But it seems to be carbs. I mean, I have bowls of fruit, and I was talking to one of the doctors that I work with, and there's some sort of correlation between like sugars during your sleep and that your blood sugar can plummet while you're sleeping. Do you have any research on that, that it could be that he truly is having like a glucose crash and that he needs to eat something? Or is it more a habit that he's made?
Is he saying he's hungry?
He'll just get, like, he doesn't wake us up, but we'll find the remnants that he did get up in the middle of the night and eat.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Interesting. Does he drink the complete shakes because they're low glycemic? Any low glycemic foods are good to have, before bed because they're slow releasing and it's not going to spike your sugar and go back down. It's going to keep you content and satiated for several hours. So I might even recommend him drinking a shake before bed. Either an hour before or even right before. They digest very, very fast because they have prebiotics in them, which line your gut and prepare for all the probiotics. So that might be a really good idea. But anything low glycemic that will sustain his blood sugar is a great idea.
Okay. And do you think that, because I was trying to avoid extra liquids just so he wouldn't have to pee. So I've done like, the puddings and things like that. Do you think with us avoiding food within a few hours of going to bed, is it best to just keep to like the shake with a dash of almond milk just to make it into pudding? Or would it be good to give him that extra carbs, the slow release carb with oatmeal? Or is that too hard to digest while he's sleeping?
Yeah, no, I don't think oatmeal's hard to digest. It's high in fiber, so it's low glycemic as well. How old did you say he was?
He's about 9.5. He'll be 10 in
Okay,
December.
so he's already a bigger kid. It's not like his bladder can't handle the extra fluid, but I think the pudding idea is fine too because it's just concentrating the nutrition into a smaller amount of food with less liquid. So I think the pudding is a great idea as well. You can also just mix it in 4 ounces instead of 8, and just make it more concentrated.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Thanks, Becca. All right, so I'm going to open it up for questions, and if you don't know how to unmute yourself, you can also there's a button to raise your hand if you're new to Zoom. It can unmute yourself, or you can type a question and say like, hey, unmute me.
Hey, Margaret, you had a question?
I do. You spoke about circadian rhythm,
Mm-hmm.
which I think I have. That's one of my issues.
Mm-hmm.
How do you readjust circadian rhythm?
Yeah.
And how long does it take to make that readjustment and stay, on schedule? Like you said, it's important to have a sleep schedule,
Right.
like little babies.
Right. Right.
And does the omega help me to feel sleepy to get to bed? My problem is the electronic devices.
Mm-hmm.
My whole sleep schedule has been discombobulated when my husband became very ill.
Yeah.
I found peace in the evening because I was always answering the phone, the doctor, or the emails from friends or phone calls from friends, and it just got so much that I enjoyed not just having my time.
Right.
And I think over 10 years, that has been my sanctuary, so to speak, of just the peacefulness, not being bothered by phones, not being, not to have to worry about medicine schedules, just that whole thing. And now I'm struggling to readjust my circadian rhythm, to keep from watching the TV all night long.
Mm-hmm.
How do I go about adjusting that?
Yeah. Yeah. So first of all, if you're not turning off your digital devices, turn them off, at least that hour before. If you're going to bed really late right now, I would suggest every night trying to bring that, maybe 30 minutes earlier, and if you're going to bed at midnight, try 11:30 for a few nights in a row, and then go to 11 until you can get to maybe 10 p.m. What time do you typically wake up?
No matter how late I sleep, I typically wake up around 8:30.
Okay. All right. So if you go to bed at midnight, you're still getting 8.5 hours of sleep, which is not bad.
Most of the time, on average, I go to bed around 2.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. You definitely need to move that back. There's a doctor named Thomas Lodi, who I know well, and I've listened to many of his lectures. He's an integrated oncologist. He has lots of alternative treatments for cancer, and he's a huge sleep guy, right? He said that, our diurnal system, our circadian rhythm, ideally, the sooner you go to bed after the sun sets, which the sun's setting around 9 p.m. here in New Mexico now, the sooner you go to bed after it goes down, the better. And then let your body wake up when it's ready. And, he said all of your good hormones are going to be secreted at night. You'll get the amount of sleep that you need. And then you might wake up even earlier. You might wake up at 5 a.m. if you're going to bed around 9. And then that's when you wake up, you do some meditation, you do a little yoga, you do a little reading, whatever you do, and then you're ready for the day. But I would just suggest doing it piece by piece, little by little. And I don't know if you take melatonin or not. If you do take melatonin to help you, I did hear a doctor at one of our Juice Plus medical conferences say that you need to take it a couple hours before bed. A lot of people think you're supposed to take it right at bedtime, but you're supposed to take it a couple hours before to give it time to get into your system. Yeah, so that's another good tip that I learned from another doctor.
Is there a maximum or minimum amount of melatonin? Sometimes I'll take 2 of the 3 milligram capsules.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just play it by ear and what works for your body. You start with the lowest dose, which is 1 or 2 milligrams. And I think 6 is the higher end dose. It sounds like you're already taking that. So if you're doing fine with that, you can continue with that amount.
Can I take more if I need?
I'd have to look that up to make sure. I'm not sure what, if you go above the recommended range, I'm not sure if there'll be any side effects. So we'll have to get back to you on that one.
Okay, I'll PM you or call you directly.
Okay,
Won't take
sure.
up everybody else's time.
It does seem like, I know there's more questions out there too, but Margaret, it seems like as you talk through some of your lifestyle changes, sometimes it just helps to talk through what you're doing, right? So you know that you're staying up late on electronics and, kind of starting this like night shift of catching up and doing that. And, versus like, I'm going to add more melatonin. What if you incorporated this habit of like, okay, I'm going to turn off, like we have a timer we instituted when I was a Wi-Fi timer that goes off at 11 p.m. So everyone in our house knows like, hey, whatever you were doing, you are done with it by 11 p.m. and there's no Wi-Fi. So then that cuts out, we still have a data plan, but it reminds you like, hey, it is 11. It is no joke. This is our commitment that there is no more TV watching, electronics going on past this time.
I'll have to get with you on where I get that timer for my Wi-Fi.
It's on Amazon, but I will show it to you. Yeah.
Okay.
I just turned mine off. There's just a button, you hit it. But yeah, that's nice to have it on the timer.
Great. Any other
Right.
questions?
Thanks for your questions, Margaret. I'm hoping to hear some good news from you and seeing how your progress is. Anybody else have questions or comments? Know of any other things we haven't covered?
Oh, there's Cole.
So this is Trendy. I don't know if anybody else is on. I'm not on video because I'm walking around the house, doing stuff around the house while I'm listening. So this has been great. Just a couple of things to share. The questions that I had have already been answered, but one of the things that, and I know it may sound crazy that I do if I can't sleep in the middle of the night, and I started doing this when I was traveling to Europe quite a bit. I'll just turn the TV on for like 5 minutes to a show where there's no plot, there's nothing, whatever, and I fall back to sleep within 10 minutes. I don't know what it is about it, but that has helped me quite a bit. The other thing is definitely no alcohol. I sleep so much better if I do not have a glass of wine with dinner, or I've noticed that. So I don't do that. It's probably better for me in general, but I don't do that, as much as I used to during the week. And I do sleep so much better. It's just been amazing.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thanks for sharing that. I'm wondering if when you turn that TV on, if it's something you're not interested in, it blanks out your mind. So you're kind of zoned.
I think it does because I'm not interested in it. It's just something where it's just on. And like I said, I started it when we were traveling to Europe quite a bit because of the time change. And I thought, I wonder if it'll work here. And it does. So I think it does, to your point, just kind of blank out my mind. I'm not thinking about anything. It's just there. So anyway.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing, Trendy.
All right, so Cole has a question. Becca will put Cole on.
Hi everyone. I was going to ask a question if is there any certain types of fruits and vegetables that help with sleep, or are all fruits and vegetables help with sleep?
And that was unprompted, although I have read something about kiwis, and I want to say it was like cherries. Tart cherry seems to be like the magical fruit for everything, but do you know the answer?
Wow. You know, I'm not familiar with what fruit and vegetable. I do know that watermelon is a extreme diuretic, and it'll make you get up and pee during the night. So avoid that for sure, at least in the evening. You know, and of course, fruits and vegetables are so incredibly good for our overall health and repairing our cells. But does anybody else know about anything taken at night? I hadn't heard about cherries. I'm gonna have to look.
I actually read a study on cherries. I think that's why Costco started carrying this cherry juice. We're trying to avoid juice in general, but they had this cherry juice, and there was someone selling, kind of saying like, hey, this helps with sleep. And I was like, cherry juice, how could that help with sleep? I took it home and tried it, and I was like, oh no, that actually did make a difference. So I've incorporated, it's cherry season, Bing cherry season. And we've been having that for dessert, Bing cherries. And I have noticed it feels like melatonin kind of, where you're just like, oh, I'm so relaxed and sleepy. So I don't know what the nutrient is in cherries that does that. And kiwis, we'll have to research, Becca. That's a good one to see if kiwis do that. Yeah.
I'm going to look that up. Thanks for sharing that, because that would be great to add to this lecture, certain foods that help.
You're welcome. I was looking up some of it, and that's how I had come across when I was trying to get this guy. Part of it was just reestablishing, for those of you who have kids that are struggling with waking up in the middle of the night, it does become a pattern almost. Like they've got, just like everything else, like the waking up normally. So I spent, sorry, Caleb's playing with my dog. So I spent a week sleeping in our spare bedroom so I could hear him get up, say, Cole, go to the bathroom, go back to bed. Because it was like once he was awake, it was almost like he was sleepwalking, or just became a habitual thing of getting up. So if you have kids that struggle with that, you might have to adjust where you're sleeping for a little while. So I was looking up, okay, what are some natural ways of helping him sleep better? And the cherry came up, and then kiwi. And so I have to go back to some of those articles, but I know you've done tons more research than I have. And I know for running, tart cherry juice is really good for inflammation and things like that, but there is some sort of similar ingredient, I believe, that helps mimic melatonin in your body to help kind of tell your body it's time to settle down for sleep.
Nice. A natural melatonin. Cool. I can't wait to find out what that is.
Tiffany is raising her hand. Tiff, you go ahead and take yourself off mute, or I can take you off mute.
Hi, everyone.
Hey.
Sorry, I was on the no video. I went for a walk, so I didn't want you to
no worries,
get me from this angle. I think that going along with how Anne-Marie and you were saying about putting yourself to sleep, like how you would put a child to sleep, everyone's so concerned about their morning routine. It's really important to establish that PM routine and really make it something that you're looking forward to. You know what I mean? Whether it's like a lavender bath bomb, or, just having something that, the timer goes off. Okay, it's time to wind down and do your thing without that glass of wine though. So I definitely want to second that. And I thought it was cool that Cole is gathering data for his next kid's presentation.
I know, that's so
but
cute.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you know what, Tiffany, you brought up a good point that I didn't even mention. I'm sure a lot of you guys use essential oils. I have a diffuser right by my bed that I put essential oils in, and then I turn it on, and it diffuses the wonderful oils into the air, and there's eucalyptus. Of course, lavender is very well known for relaxation. So that's also good. There's lavender sprays you can spray on the pillows and on your sheets. Or put it on you. So those are definitely essential oils that help with sleep as well.
And one more thing, there was something that I kind of started doing with my partner because he has a really hard time staying asleep. I just start to gently say, and anyone can say this to themselves, but just starting at the bottom of your feet. You might even fall asleep before you get to the top of your head, but just like relax your feet, relax your feet, relax, relax, relax your ankles, relax your ankles. Relax, relax, and just go, all the way up the body, and just really get that sense of heaviness and support from your bed, and just like fall, you kind of really get into that deep breathing with that, and that just kind of like, what's the word? Just kind of like the melodicness of your voice or your thoughts or whatever has been really helpful for relaxing at the end.
Perfect. That's a perfect example of progressive muscular relaxation. You start at one end and work your way up. And yeah, you're right. You'll probably fall asleep before you're done. But it really is concentrating. You might have a stiff neck and not even realize it till you really focus on relaxing it. Then you're like, whoa, I had no idea that I was holding my neck so stiff. So yeah, that's great. Great advice also. If you wake up in the middle of the night and need to do something to go back to sleep. Thanks, Tiffany.
Thanks, Tiff. One of the things I just love focusing on, which is why I'm so grateful that you came to the sleep seminar, is like, if you have your arm is hurting you so much that you can't move your arm, you go see a doctor about that. And I feel like now that you know that not getting enough sleep leads to Alzheimer's, increased cancer risk, obesity, part of what the takeaway is that, please treat your sleeping issue as if you cannot move your arm, right? I mean, this is like, you wouldn't just let this go on for years and years. Do not let a chronic sleep issue continue over time, because we already know, the science already tells us how that ends. So we're trying to really inspire you to take some action and really understanding what you can do. I'm not seeing any more raised hands or questions, but I don't want to miss anybody who.
Yeah, I do. Someone said that, Carrie said, I read somewhere that cashews are high in tryptophan, which helps induce sleep. And that would be a pretty low glycemic healthy fat too, which is another good thing, Becca, you might consider in the evening, for a cold. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Carrie.
Yes, thank you. I think I read the same thing. I just commented in the chat book. I was going to hold this up. So similar to what Tiffany said, this little book says, it's called Good Night Me by Andrew Dado, I think. And in it, it's like basically talking to your body. So for kids, it's telling them, good night, feet. Thanks for running me around today. Thanks for holding my legs together, knees. And it goes through each body part to basically, like, it's okay to shut down now. My heart and lungs are going to keep going, but the rest of you, it's okay to go to sleep. And I've read that several times to the kids, and it relaxes me too, because it's like, okay, I can just chill out now.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Wow. Excellent.
Yeah.
Ginger, I noticed you wrote cherry boost melatonin. Did you get that confirmed? Ginger is a nutritionist.
Hey, you all. Yes, that is. That's been in my research for years. And I
have good.
Cherry, so that works perfect for me.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thanks for confirming that for us.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put us on gallery view for anybody who wants to. I find one of the most effective things that I do, I'm a working businesswoman, engineer, is like at the end of something doing a summarization of action items, like really understanding, I think using this opportunity to do a call to action. And now that you've had a chance to listen to the conversation and get some advice, if you would be willing to share what you would like to do, what you are going to do based on this information, I would just really love to hear, and speaking it out loud means a commitment. So I'm going to start, if it's okay, I'm going to call on people. I'm going to start with you, Margaret. Hold on, I feel like I'm hitting the unmute button. Hold on, let you do it. Okay, go ahead.
What I'm going to start to do?
Yeah, based on what's your call to action? Like now that you've heard this, like what's your commitment to yourself that you're going to do different around sleep?
Contact you and get that Wi-Fi turn off thing.
Okay, turn off your Wi-Fi, set a time to turn off your Wi-Fi. I love it.
Because I don't have the discipline to just turn things off. I'm the type of person that needs to, I need closure. So like if I'm watching a television series, I need to find out what happens at the end. And sometimes it's what happens at the beginning. So it's like an endless cycle.
Yeah, baby steps, one step at a time.
Yes.
Moving in that direction.
Tiff, do you mind sharing?
I'm going to be more mindful about shutting down the phone and keeping it away from the nightstand, just putting it across the room.
Great.
Thank you. Millie, are you open to share?
Well, I think what I'm going to try is, because I don't have any trouble going to sleep, I can't stay to sleep.
Oh.
So I like the idea that Tiffany has about, or like Becca, you know, just saying, okay, relax, you know, relax your feet, relax your ankles. And I'm going to try to go through that with myself. So that's going to be my thing. I mean, I go to bed about the same time every day, like right after the sun goes down, it seems like.
Good.
old farm girl. And then up, you know, and start. So, but staying asleep. So I'm definitely going to try that relaxation thing when I wake up and just try to relax myself and get myself back to sleep.
Wonderful.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And what about Carrie? Like, are you interested in sharing?
Yes, I'll share. I've actually already come into, like I've heard, I missed the first half of this thing because I wasn't watching the clock, but I have heard some other webinars and stuff on sleep stuff. And so we've already actually tried to start implementing some things here in the house, because my kids, of course, with, you know, oh, we don't have a schedule anymore. Everything's willy-nilly.
Yeah.
And everything's just really gotten discombobulated with, especially my tween, who's 12, who thinks he's, I don't know, 16 or 20. And getting a mind of his own now. And so, you know, we had the situation just a few nights ago where he comes at 4 a.m. like, I'm awake, mommy, can I have my phone? Because I started taking his phone at night, because he would, you know, get up on his phone and then he's awake all night on his phone instead of sleeping. And then he wants to sleep till noon, you know, or whatever. And I was like, no, we need to, you know, school is going to start back up. So let's go ahead. We're so far off right now. It's going to take us a while to get back to right. So I have to confiscate his phone at night. Well, then he figured out that I set it on the nightstand. So he'll sneak in at night and get it. And I'm like, so now I have to hide it. Well, so then he comes in at 4 o'clock in the morning looking for it and can't find it. So he thinks it's appropriate to wake me up. And I said, no. And then, you know, then it was plugged, because I unplugged the Wi-Fi, started trying to unplug the Wi-Fi at night already a week or so ago. And I'm still trying to get into the habit of remembering to do that. And so some nights it gets unplugged, some nights it doesn't. But then also the turning off the electronics and the screens and all that kind of stuff. We try to do that, you know, an hour or two before bed. And that sometimes, you know, like other people, you kind of get into a TV show or you get into this or that, and all of a sudden you lose track of time. You don't realize what time it is. So it's all kind of a work in progress for us.
Thanks, Carrie. Yeah, thanks for sharing. I get that the teenager thing too, right? Is like you have to be the person that manages them. And one thing you could do is just have a talk about like, hey, I just learned about how important sleep is. Yeah, I'm going to get dementia and Alzheimer's if you don't let me sleep. And then you're going to have to deal with that. And so when you wake me up at 4, later you're going to have to deal with my dementia. So I recommend that you let me sleep.
Well, and I really did that day. I woke up when I never really went back to sleep after that, because I kept telling him no, but I wasn't functional enough to like really give him reasons of no. It was just no, leave me alone. And that wasn't good enough for him. And he came back at 4:30 and he came back at 5 and he came back at, and so
yeah, sounds like
I did never get to go back to sleep. And so whenever I did finally, like, screw it, I'm getting out of bed, the day has started, let's go, I was a bear all day long. It was terrible. And I was taking it out on the little kid, which was not his fault. And I was, you know, everybody was getting it that day.
Yeah, Carrie, I mean, that's a great conversation. Have that conversation with he's old enough to say like, hey, your little siblings suffer when I don't get enough sleep. We all suffer. Thank you. Thanks. Is there anyone else that wants to share too? I see, let's see, Sherry, Trendy, thank you for sharing.
Sure, I'll do one more. This is Trendy. One of the things that I learned new that I'm actually going to try is the cherry juice, because my husband and I both love cherries. So I think that might be something that we'll do as well. And the other thing that I'm going to try to do more is read right before I go to bed. So those are the two things that I'm really going to try to do. And even though I'm sleeping well now, I think, you know, it could always be improved. So I certainly appreciate the suggestions. This has been great.
Thank you.
Thanks for getting on. Yeah. Yeah, and I, you know, the omegas too do help as well. Like, I feel like that's the same thing with that kind of like that calming effect on omegas. That was something to check out too.
Yep.
Christy, there's a Lucky 7 and Christy Straw Wilson. Anything you want to share?
Hey.
Hey.
Yeah. So I actually didn't realize about the omegas. I'm gonna try that. I'm pretty good about going to sleep. I have difficulty going to sleep. So for me, when I wake up, I'm normally thinking about something. So I do that calming effect, do some stretches just to kind of relax my body again. So I'm able to normally go back to sleep, but it's keeping that mind calm.
Yeah,
All right.
your mind calm. Thanks. And Helena, did you have anything you wanted to share?
I'm doing yard work, so I'm sorry. It's hot in Tucson today. So I need to be better about going to bed at the same time. I feel like that was like, oh, okay, that's important. Because sometimes I'm just exhausted and I go to bed early, but other times it can be 1 or 2 of just getting things done. But realizing how important it is to create that routine for the body, I like that.
Great.
Excellent.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing.
It was great. I learned a lot, Jeanine. So I'm hoping
good.
to implement everything. Thank
Good.
you so much.
Excellent. Yay.
All right, so I don't want to leave anybody out. So Nat or lucky number 9, Katrina, if there's anything you want to share.
Natalie, were you going to share? She just got off from.
Hey, Natalie.
There you go.
I was just gonna say probably with the boys, trying to get to bed regular time and kind of closer to when the sun sets. We've been having some challenges, especially with the weather when it's so hot during the day that we go out and play, and then before we know it, it's like after 9 o'clock and they're only 6 and 3, so we have to like run home and be like, we got to get to bed. So then it's kind of, we're high energy right before bed, and instead of kind of the routine of calming down and having more consistency. So we just need to start getting to bed when the sun goes down, I guess, more consistently.
Yeah, great idea. Yeah, it's difficult when it's so hot outside and it finally cools down after 8 o'clock.
Yeah. You don't want to miss anything, and it's summer and you feel like you're kind of like entitled. Yeah, like, hey, I want to be part of this. So
Yeah.
Right. It looks like we're a little bit, thank you so much for sharing that. It looks like we're a little bit over the hour, and I just want to thank Jeanine so much for putting together that information. I'm super grateful. I feel like it's just a reset for me, and I think the people who were able to log in today, the recording is available. If there's anybody else that would like to take a look at it, we would be happy to send that out to someone. So again, thank you so much, and please know that you can feel free to contact Jeanine or I, and we'll get you in touch if you have any follow-up questions, and we can go from there. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for everyone's feedback. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeanine.
Welcome.
Thanks.